Alright, so it is a new day. Today what we need to do, I want to slide the power supply over to where it can get it over the holes so that it can use its fan to cool itself if it needs to. I think that will create a good well over here on the right between the cage and the power supply where we can stuff the excess wiring that inevitably always has to be stuffed somewhere. Just tasteful as I find it, we're going to have to unplug everything. So it's so neat to have it working. But we'll get it back again in that state again by the end of the day, I think. So we'll start out by trying to find that very happy medium place where the motherboard sits far enough back to clear the screen, but far enough forward to allow me to put the fans in at the top of the case, which need to clear the CPU cooler. So, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm just going to trace around the I/O area there. I need his trusty cricket pin. Yeah, I think we give ourselves 2 inches from here. So 2 inches from here. So basically from here to here. Just to eyeball it. It's not all that bad, honestly. So to bring the viewers along, what I've marked there. Alright, looking here on the I/O shield, the only things we're going to need to access is the Ethernet port, at least one USB, and the audio jack. Everything else is negotiable. For our purposes here, this will work just fine. Extend this to the back. So essentially, everything in this area here needs to get cut out so that we'll have access to the cabling. Cut all this out right here. And then, let's see. So that's pretty accurate. That's what we're looking to do, I guess. More or less. Yeah, I think we're going to put the power supply right there. Then the motherboard will come across here. We need to access ports from here to there, and then we'll probably cut on around the back too to make it easier. Then I can leave all the rest of this here as a way to mount our bracket that we're printing right now. Oh, is it done already? Knocked that right out, didn't it? We'll let that cool a little bit before we grab it. That should give us a nice bracket to put across there. We'll put screws and nuts through the motherboard tray down to that. That'll give it a solid mount so it won't move around anymore. Alright, so I got that super glued to that. I mean, I'll put super glue on it. Whether it's going to actually glue to it's another story. This may not work with this. That's the only glue I have. It's either going to work or fail spectacularly. So let me go out and cut this, and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so there's the cage all chopped up, huh? That will tell us how we did. Okay, this can go here. I'll tell you what, I don't hate it. I do not hate it. And then it goes about there. Okay. We are done with that, finally. Alright. That'll do. It's pretty solid. I like it. So there's that. Here's where that goes. And check to see if we're going to be able to make our connections with the drives in place. I guess wouldn't be a bad thing to know. Okay, so we stopped for a little lunch break, and I forgot to put the camera back on. Let me tell you what I did. So I relocated the SSDs over here in the back. This is the back of the machine. So I'm concerned about the power cables because, well, the SSDs are, they're a little tight together. A little tighter than I wanted for sure, but it's not horrible. I had them spread further apart, but then they didn't fit where I wanted to put them, and also the screws were not going to be long enough to go through and anchor them. So now they're attached, and it doesn't look too shabby, honestly. It does not look shabby at all. We got some new cables. They're over 3 feet long, which is going to be considerably longer than we need. Before we go there, let's see. So before we go here, where does it go? There. And there. There we go. Well, I always manage to paint myself into a corner, it seems. Yes, they do fit. Okay, cool. Let's go there. Another one can go there. Yeah, we'll put it here. Probably like so. That'll go there. I don't want to lock it. I might need to do it apart again. And then when we bring on our mATX power, we can use one of them for this. And then we'll have our fans powered. Actually seems to be working out okay. Okay, so we're doing a whole lot of putting things together and taking them back apart, but to make sense of some of it, the 5 1/4 inch floppy drive was too long to get the cable in at the bottom. So since I had cut it open at the top, I thought I'd try it in the top slot. Although it fit better, it was interfering with that corner there, so I had to get the pliers and bend that out just a little bit, and then I was able to get it installed. I was very relieved to find that that didn't mess me up as far as still having access to my ports. So, yeah, sometimes things just work out. All right, well, now that we have that settled, we can go ahead and start taking things apart again just so we can screw down the fans. So as it turned out, the vents underneath the drives there, where I put the fans, were spaced just perfectly to line up with the holes to mount the fans. The longer screws I'm using here were just a smidge too wide to go through the vent holes, so I'm having to kind of drive them through and then putting nuts on at the bottom. And then I run out of the longer screws for the last two, so I had to use some hex head shorter screws on the front most mounts, but yeah, it came out pretty well. Alright, so I'm looking for my mark I made on this since the little bump is gone. We'll put that to the top. Go ahead and plug that into the grease weasel there. Now I'm fishing out the power cables that I had stuck back there best I could from the front. So this will give us our power we need for the DVD player. Alright, plug in the power for the 3.5 inch floppy. Alright, so we'll clip a couple zip ties and then we can get the top of it back over again. I've got to fish that cable from the front to the back through the little well there that we made. I'm calling it the well, the area between the drive cage and the power supply, where all the cluttered wire lives. So we'll fish that through. We'll be able to power our fans, our drives, and our screen with these Molex connections. Three and a half's got power, it has data. 5 1/4's got power and data. We got power and data and USB to the grease weasel. We got power and data to the DVD. We got power to the fans. We got power and data to the SSDs. We got access to the plug. We have this. We have power. We have a power switch. I'd love to tell you everything went without a hitch there, but When I powered it up, the first thing that happened was the grease weasel decided to short out. Because apparently the pins were a little longer than I thought they were. The through pins on the circuit board there. And, well, they shorted to the top of the DVD player. So I 3D printed a case and we'll put it in there. It's not going to short out on anything now. We still got this little wire off to the side here to start it. I'm going to be putting in a switch under here at some point, but I haven't gotten to that yet. But you push that button and it turns on. You could do Windows or any of them actually should do the job. Let's go ahead and do Catalina for this first part. So up here at the top of the screen here, you see a little ejector button. And if we can do that, so the DVD tray opens. So that was a good functional test, huh? At least I can find something to put in there. There we go. We can push the button. It should work too. Yeah. That's probably already enough to get me in trouble. So yeah, DVD player works. Let's go into Windows and we'll see if the floppies work. In order to test the floppy drives, we're going to have to open command prompt. Right. And let's see here. The grease weasel. So if we go in here, oh, there it is, right here at the top. All right, so what I'll usually do here is I'll get grease weasel right here, right, and then I'll just drag it into the command prompt, and that'll give me my whole pathway to it. Let's get we're gonna need a floppy disk. Okay, so I have one. It's my own goofy programs that I saved. I guess I wrote them on my 4P, but they should run on the 4. So that's in there. You can go over here. And then the output you're going to want to put in, let's see. Let's actually make a new folder. Well, I guess we'll do it in the documents. And a new folder. We will call this test. Should be able to just take this over here and drop it right here. There we go. And we got to make a file name, of course. So we'll minimize. You have your supported suffixes or extensions. And HFE is easily readable by the GoTech, so we do HFE. And it's either going to work or tell us why it didn't. Let's start over here. Alright, so it has to be -- drive B, and then format equal raw $250. Yeah, that should work. So if we look in our folder that we just created here, which was our test folder right there, right? You see that there is an example.hfe. So how do we know if it worked or not? Well, I got an idea. So I have an emulator on here. And so we'll just go over here to change model, and we'll go to model 4. There we go. And then under diskette here, we can insert an empty one. We insert disk. That'll be in documents, and then we got to go down to our test. Yeah, there's our test folder right there. And here's our file. So Alt-Enter will go full screen with the emulator. Come on, Windows. Alright, let me capture the screen. There we go. Alt-Enter. Move the mouse off the screen. Now we go directory, :1. This should give me the directory of the file we just created. How about that? So there's the file we just read off that floppy. These are all basic, so we could do basic. Oh, wait a minute. Go back to system. You gotta get a file name. Yeah, okay, so let's go with crazy. So we'll go back to basic again. Load crazy. Well, wait, let's list first. And so what this does is it goes through and does a random character strings. That's what it does. Crazy screen. So let's go back to the grease weasel again. I was going to say we should have a way to test the Amiga. Let me see if I can find the disk. I had got this with my Amiga 500. Let's see if we can read it. Alright, so we'll go ADF. So we're going to do example.adf. Yeah. And then we change that to amiga.amiga.dos. So alright. And then we change this to drive A. I don't know. Let's see what happens. The light came on. Seems to be working. Looks like some kind of error screen, but I believe when I had a successful read of an Amiga disk before, I got this same screen. So let's go to this. Yeah, then we're gonna go File. We'll just close this. Then we go to File, and we'll play file. And if we go to Documents, and we go back to our test folder right here, so we find Amiga or example.adf right here, whereas the previous one was HFE. So it's going to run it as an Amiga 1200, which I don't believe would be correct for such an old version. Let's do it as an Amiga 500. Alright. I guess we gotta click OK here first. There we go. So yeah, it does Windows things, it does Linux things, it does Mac things, it does emulator things. It does it all in a pretty cool package. It does Grease Weasel things. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Alright, well, I think that's it for this video. I think we're going to do one more where I'm going to do some more refinements. I'll do something with the power switch and get a power switch back where it's supposed to go. We're going to try and do upper fans and maybe make some mounts for the power supply to make sure it can't move around. That would probably be a good idea. So yeah, we'll see. But there's definitely another episode of work to be done on this little machine here. So hey, with that, I want to thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd like to invite you to do so. And until then, we'll see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.